Silent Leges Inter Arma. That is the name of this German band which seems to combine black metal to death metal in contemporary ways, like they put it. This one is Plures ire, and it's the self-financed debut album by the band. Now, there are reasons why a band is self-financed. As far as I could gather from the band's social media page, it seems more like we want to save some money, not give it to the people outside of the band, so they cannot really scalp us for, pressing the CDs or doing promotion and all. And the other reason sometimes is some bands are not good enough to make or get a real label deal, and as such they go self-financed. Now with this German band, I'm kind of undecided which way the truth in fact is. On the other hand, I would say this band is smart. That is, if they have the connections, the energy, the skill and all that to do their own promotion, marketing, selling, shipping, etc. You know the deal. There is a lot of work phases when you're releasing music. Not only it's not enough just, do the music and get it recorded, get the vocals recorded, mixing, mastering, and of course printing the CD with a, company that does CDs. But then it actually starts the work with, contacting the labels and various media, etc. The other thing here also is that this second album, not the debut album, sorry if I said that, is that sometimes the bands are not able to get a good deal because they make these kind of albums. Now, I'm not gonna say this is a bad one. That would be just way too brutal to say this about this German band, because the thing here is, this is actually very, very listenable album. But what is wrong here, or maybe I should say what is not good here with this second album, which is not listed here on the Metal Archive site just yet, is the thing that this is not exactly groundbreaking or fundamentally super great or anything like that. This is more like combining the melodic death metal to melodic black metal and avoiding all kind of dangers or extreme elements you might find in the genres. Let's start with the death metal parts. Now, there are growly vocals. Check in the box. You might say, yeah, that's very death metallic. You have those growly vocals which are not so much present in black metal. What about the riffs? Well, they are quite far from being actually anything like brutal death metal. Be it intense, violent, or just slamming or brutalizing you to the very end. I mean, these riffs are more like on the easier end of black metal. Death metal. Well, actually black metal as well. And when you have the kind of a production that is supposed to be suitable for black metal and death metal, you really don't go to the far end of brutal death metal or death metal to begin with. So one could say this is more like on the easier end of melodic death metal, and that's about it. You really don't go farther that into the death metal territory when you're combining this with the more melodic kind of a black metal. So when we're talking about black metal then, well, this clearly isn't the type of rawest black metal out there, nor this is the kind of a symphonic black metal or atmospheric black metal. So this is not the super mellow kind of stuff. This is not depressive kind of stuff. That is definitely not the primitive and raw black metal, nor it is this bombastic and symphonic black metal, but the kind of a average one. The one that walks them in the middle of the road, avoiding all kind of possible ditches and gutters and all that stuff. And when you have that from both death metal and black metal, like imagine this is a road with two lanes. You're pretty much in the middle of the road, which is kind of a safe, but also at the same time a little bit boring. Now, obviously there are people who like Behemoth while they are doing their middle of the road kind of stuff. That is avoiding the possible problems with the kind of a death metal that isn't exactly in the favor of bigger black metal audience. Or vice versa, you go too much into the black metal territory and you're gonna lose a lot of possible death metal audience. And that brings you back to the middle of the road. Now, the biggest difference between Silent Leges Inter Arma and the types of band as Behemoth is that while the other band has been there for 30 years, building the audience, doing massive amounts of tours and gigs, and well, a bunch of releases as well, this comes out like an underdog. Hey, we have a second album out. We're not offering you anything new and fantastic, but maybe a lukewarm experience into that, or with a little bit of mediocrity brought in. Now that might sound a little bit harsh, but the unfortunate thing for this album is that I didn't have any kind of a wow moments. I didn't get bored. I didn't get, enjoyment. I didn't get hate, anger, or I don't know, anything. It's more like, yes, I'm listening to an album which is just a metal album. You don't have the most brutal kind of stuff out there for death metal. You don't have the most horrifying parts of black metal, but everything in the safe zone, comfort zone, if you will. And that is the problem with this album. It's very easy to listen to, but it's even easier to just forget all about it, because it's not that different in any aspects. There is no groundbreaking production, no super cool vocals, no super cool riffs, memorable parts, great melodies, good chorus parts, but everything is just kind of a bland. Now, like I said, easy to get into, and I don't think anybody will be offended by this album or felt like, wow, this is super raw. Unless you're coming from the mainstream metal and maybe some metal core bands, and then you start shifting towards this kind of extreme metal, and then you're like, wow, this is really, really dangerous. But if you're already in the black metal field or death metal scene and you're listening to this, it might just feel a little bit diluted. Now, obviously, you decide for yourself. This is only my opinion, and my opinion is often wrong. So don't get angry at me just because I didn't understand how great this album would be in your opinion. You might even hate this album. You might even love this album way more than I could ever do. But you only find out by listening to this. And this should be out in mid-January 2022. So give it a go if you think it's right up your alley. And if you don't, well, at least you'll be warned. Anyway, take care and enjoy it if you can.